What's goody? Hey man, so with the NBA season coming back down, bro, coming back around, what we are doing today is we are doing our top 5 point guards in the NBA ranking. So sit back, relax. This is going to be a little bit of a long one. We are going to talk about 7 point guards today, or 8 point guards today, who I thought about for this criteria, and we are going to go through and decipher between all of them, talk about all of them, and then after this, I want y'all to let me know who y'all think would be who would be in y'all list, if y'all think I placed somebody wrong, and if I did, who you think I placed wrong, and everything like that. So let's jump right into it, man. Hope you please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if y'all are watching this, man. And yeah, man, just let me know what y'all think about the video. All right, so let's lock it in. So honorable mentions first. Dame Dollar. Listen, get well soon, Dame. First of all, and if healthy, you would 100% be in this conversation. I hate to say it. We just simply may have seen the last of Dame being in this conversation, just given his age, given the injury that he's trying to come back from, and also given the team that he currently plays for. Seems like his career might be coming to an end again, sad to say, but I do hope that you get well soon, and if you can get back to that Dame Dollar that we know and love, please do, because we would love that, and we need that in this league. This league is a better league when Damian Lillard is playing. When superstars, when all-star superstar caliber players like Damian Lillard are playing, league's better. Another honorable mention number 2 of 3, Trae Young. Now, I haven't talked a lot about teams that I like, players that I like, or anything like that going into this NBA season. I've kind of wanted it to be a little bit mysterious ever since like the bulk of the offseason moves happened. But let me tell you right now, I am buying all of the Trae Young and Atlanta Hawks stock that I can heading into this season. Last year, this man averaged 24 and basically 12, and his team just got even better. And that doesn't even, his team getting better doesn't even account for the projected improvement of guys like Zachary Richardson and Dyson Daniels. I'm extremely interested to see if the Hawks, with this new Hawks team that has Porzingis as the addition, that has Nickeil Alexander-Walker as an addition, I'm interested to see if some of these new pieces will allow for the Hawks and Quinn Snyder to be able to come up with a way to use Trae Young more off the ball. And I don't want to see this all the time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to see them turn Trae Young into Steph Curry where he's off the ball half the time. But I just want to see this because I want to see if they can kind of use him similarly to like a Steph Curry, to where like maybe they can get him some more open looks through some off-ball movement with some screens. You got big bodies there. You have big-bodied wings. Set some screens for the man. Get the man off the ball. And I understand he's a phenomenal playmaker, but you have Porzingis who can make some plays. You have Jalen Johnson who can play make. You can add Zachary Richardson to kind of develop into that. I just kind of want to see if they can use him off ball for 2 main reasons. Sure, getting him open through looks off from the off-ball movement is great and everything like that, off-ball screens, all that stuff, just off-ball motion, using more of a motion-style offense, all that stuff could be phenomenal. But I really want to see if they can reduce this man's turnovers. If can Nickeil Alexander-Walker handling the ball off the bench, or Jalen Johnson having a fully healthy season where he got better as well, can him doing that lead to, hey, he can have the ball a little more now and Trae Young can have it a little less? Because last year, this man led the league in turnovers per 100 possessions at 6.1. Now, while that sounds bad, because it is, he also led the league in assists per 100 possessions at 15 and assists per 36 minutes at 11.6. So there's a give and take with it. I just would love to see those assist numbers get down, because turning the ball over is a great way to lose games. You know what I'm saying? You're rarely going to be a very good championship team when your lead guard is a turnover-heavy guard, and you're never going to win a championship as a turnover-heavy team unless you're forcing double the amount that you're giving up. Now, when it comes to Trae Young, we all know his defense and his efficiency are always going to be the things that people criticize. We know that these things will always be a problem with him being a small guard. But his three-point percentage last year was still better than a lot of guys like Devin Booker, guys like Tyrese Maxey. It wasn't great. I think it was like 35 or something like that, but it was better than those guys. And these guys are all shooting that 8, 9, 10, 11 range of threes per game. So he's shooting a higher percentage than those guys while also shooting a similar volume and being the smallest in height and the smallest in stature in terms of like weight of them all. I think people have started to get used to the greatness of Trae Young's passing and his consistent scoring and just how consistent he is as a guy that is going to average damn near 25 and 10 or 11 every single year. And I think because people get so used to it, they just kind of forget about it and start to underrate it a little bit. And in my opinion, that doesn't make it any less impressive. This man has been doing phenomenal things, and just because he does them consistently doesn't mean we should forget about him when it comes to these rankings. Last thing I'll say about Trae Young. When he is on the court, the offensive rating for the Hawks goes up by 8.5 points per 100 possessions. Of the guys on this list, that's pretty impressive, because you're going to hear guys like Jalen Brunson, Luka, and Steph Curry, and you're going to say, oh, he's not up there with Luka or Steph, but he's damn close. He's on par. And then my sixth guy on this list, my guy that just missed the list, my number one honorable mention, Cade Cunningham. He had a phenomenal season last year. He averaged 26, 9, and 6 and was the best player on a team that went from losing 28 straight games in 2023, 2024 to a team that took a conference finals opponent in the New York Knicks to 7 games in the first round. And this was a turnaround that happened in just 1 year. This season, he made his first All-Star game, finished 7th in MVP voting, and made All-NBA third team. He played 70 games and was missing his second-best ball handler since January 1st. Jaden Ivey with a broken ankle was missing him since January 1st. That is the entirety of the 2025 calendar year. In the playoffs, mind you, still Jaden Ivey out. Numbers went up to 25, 8, and 9. He's getting guarded by OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, any of them at any given time. Phenomenal that his numbers were still able to go up. Now, you look at his numbers, you're going to say, well, if you want to talk about numbers, let's talk about how his shooting splits fell. Yes, in the regular season, he shot 47, 35, 85 splits, and then in the playoffs, it was 42, 18, and 83. Now, that is abysmal. That is an abysmal drop, especially that three-point one. And I'm not going to even try to excuse the three-point drop, but you can never, as a star player, drop by 20% in the three-point shooter in the NBA. I get that. In the playoffs, I get that. Please do not get me wrong. But in terms of his other efficiency numbers dropping a little bit, here's what I'll say. He was going up against a team with 3 phenomenal wing defenders while being literally the only consistent offensive player on his team. His second best offensive guy was gone. Defenders, guys that would be glue guys that would be energy guys that might get them some turnovers and stuff like that, like Isaiah Stewart, were out. Guys like Malik Beasley didn't play throughout the entirety of the playoff series where they played all season. Guys like Tim Hardaway Jr., while he had like 2 good games, he also had some stinkers. Guys like Asar Thompson, while he's a phenomenal defender, he wasn't giving them as much offensively as you would like, even though he did have an actual pretty good season for me. I mean, a pretty good series, in my opinion. And then Jalen Duren, solid, but it's just like not anything great. So it's like, yes, these things dropped, but it's his first ever playoff series, and he's playing with a team that isn't great against a team that's much better and especially has much better defenders to guard him. So if you actually watch the games, you recognize just how much he was doing, especially in those clutch moments when they needed a bucket and couldn't get one from anyone but him. You recognize that. So if you were really watching hoops, I don't think I need to tell you about Cade Cunningham and why those numbers dropped come playoff time. Last year, when Cade Cunningham was on the court, his team was 4 percentage points better at defensive rebounding, and the offensive rating goes up by 4.5. Now, that offensive rating isn't as high of a jump as you're going to hear for any of the other guys on this list, but it's still a jump nonetheless. And the defensive rebounding is huge because that's something that you want from a tall guard. You don't want to be a tall guard that's out here not rebounding. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you've got when you don't have a dominant rebounding big or like a combination of dominant rebounding bigs. If you're going to be a 6 point guard, if you're going to be the best player on that team, you got to get down there. So that jump in offensive in rebounding being damn near the same as the jump in offensive rating is something that matters to me, and that's something that I feel like a lot of people are going to overlook. Because with everyone else on this list, that number did not go up, and if it did not go up by 4 percentage points. Next year, one of Cade or Trae Young will be in the top 5 next year because I'm going to spoil it right now for you. My number 5 guy was Halliburton. Next year, he's going to be not on this list because he'll be out for the season. So my last 2 honorable mentions of Cade or Trae Young, I think they'll both be top 10 dark horse MVP candidates. Like I'm talking about finish top 10 and be a dark horse MVP candidate for both of them this year. At least one of them. And I'm going to say that Cade will finish just a little bit above Tyrese, and I'm going to say that right now he's a little bit above Tyrese just because I think he is expected to do more with less. And I also feel as if I were to start a franchise today, I'm probably picking Cade over Trae Young like 9 out of 10 times. So knowing those things, as much as I like Trae Young and as much as I am buying in on him on the Hawks heading into the season, I can't in good conscience put him above Cade when those things are still true, Now, on to the official top 5, baby. At the number 5 spot, we already said it. We have Tyrese Halliburton. Get well soon, man. I'm going to tell you right now, Cade was a tough omission. He was super close to being here above Hallie. Ultimately, I just had to respect what Halliburton did in that playoff run. I had to respect especially what he did against OKC, and I have to respect that in back-to-back years, that man has taken a team, granted in the Eastern Conference, but still has taken that team to the conference finals at the bare minimum. Nobody expected it either year. That's extremely impressive for me. And you could very well make the argument that if he does not get hurt last year, they win the finals. You could make the argument that the Indiana Pacers were a torn Achilles away from winning the finals and Halliburton being finals MVP. You could argue that. And after what Halliburton just did, knowing that, I wouldn't have felt right if he didn't make this list. Now, If you're someone who values doing less with more, which I do heavily, I can see you having Cade in that top 5. I just personally don't, but don't come at me if you do, because I get it and I damn near did too. However, I do think I would argue heavily that you should lean towards Halliburton just based off of if you value winning, based off of what he's done these last 2 years in the playoffs. Now, to be real, though, to be fair, Halliburton started off last year rocky. He shot 25% from three-point range in October. Granted, it was just 5 games. But then in November and December, he did not shoot above 40% from 3. He didn't do that in a month last year until January. And from there, though, it was up. It was like 40%, 46%, 48%. And then the last month, I think it was April, it was like 5 games. He shot 38%. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? From there, it was up. And once he turned up, it was up for the rest of the year, including the playoffs. He finished the season averaging 18-9 on 47, 39, 85 splits. He led a team with a that was top 5 in. Let me speak. He did that while leading a team that was top 10 in offensive rating and top 10 in points per game. Doing that consistently while also having consistent playoff success, it's impressive to me. In the playoffs, he averaged 17, 9, and 5 in 23 games, and I know those numbers went down, but the clutch is where this man made his name in the playoffs. He made, according to what my Google said, 14 straight game-tying or go-ahead shots in the last 2 minutes of fourth quarter and overtime. Do you know how insane that is? In one playoff run, 4 series, this man hit 14 straight game-tying or go-ahead shots. That means for an average of 2 games per series, he was either giving his team the lead or tying it for them late in the fourth quarter or in overtime. That is insane. Now, obviously, we'll never know how the finals would have ended if Hallie doesn't get hurt. We don't know how high people would have ranked him if they do win the finals. If he does win finals MVP, would some people have him above my number 4 guy? Probably not, but some people probably would at the same time. And I understand that his numbers, especially in the playoffs, do not look enough to be like, damn, he should be over Cade, he should be over Trae Young. But if you watched basketball and you are not just a box score watcher, if you value winning and taking your team and having success at the highest level of the game, then you have to have Tyrese Halliburton on your list. Number 4 for me, Jalen Brunson. Listen, some people are going to be mad at this one. Some people will say this is a spot too low. I'm not one of those people. I genuinely don't even know that there's a real argument for Brunson over the guy that I have at number 3 and the guy that I feel like most people probably have at number 3. But with that being said, if you have Brunson at lower than number 4, I think you're trolling. He and the Knicks both had a phenomenal season last year. Knicks were a 50-win team, and he only played... No, he played a lot of games. I think he played like 70 games. But still, 50-win team. He had a phenomenal season, averaging 26 and 7 on 48, 38, 82 splits. Mind you, dude might be shorter than me. He finished top 10 in MVP, won the Clutch Player of the Year. Again, dude might be shorter than me, and he was both an All-Star and made All-NBA second team. And he's playing in one of the top 5 biggest markets in the sport, as one of the top 5 smallest guys in the sport. That's impressive if you ask me. He got even better in the playoffs from those numbers where he went up from like 26 and 8, I think he said, to where he went to averaging 29 and 7, and those splits got better too. He went to 52, 36, 85 splits in the playoffs, and that doesn't even account for knowing that there were so many times during these playoffs that the New York Knicks could not score a basket, and all they would do was just, hey, here, especially in the clutch, even versus Detroit in the first round, they would just say, here, man, in the clutch, go get a bucket. And almost every single time, I felt like he went and got a bucket. Now, the problem with Brunson is that if the ball isn't in his hands, he doesn't contribute much, and he's a terrible defender. And I feel like the defending isn't just because he's small. The on-off numbers hate him because they show that when the increase that he has to oh, my daughter's crying. Hold on, one second. Like I was saying, the numbers showed that when he's on the court, New York's offensive rating jumps by almost 3 points per 100 possessions. But when he's off the court, the opponent's offensive rating jumps by almost 8 points per 100 possession. That's a big part of the reason why this guy is not above the guy that I have at number 3. When you are that small and that bad on defense that your offense, by the numbers, isn't outweighing the negative that you are on defense is nuts. Now, obviously, we know that if he was that bad at defense, that they were that much worse defensively all the time, they wouldn't be as good of a team they are, right? We know that number doesn't necessarily equate to them losing games all the time or anything like that, but in a playoff series, when things are close, in a game 7 or something, that that little difference can end up losing you games. And I would argue in the last 2 years, we have seen differences like that, among other things, cause the Knicks to lose series. Now, again, like other things, because first year, 2 years ago when they went against Indiana in the conference, in the semifinals, they were hurt. And then this year, it was just the defense was terrible, because not just because of Brunson, because they had Cat too. But, I mean, we saw it in the playoffs. Teams can go at Jalen Brunson anytime they want. But at the same time, what guys like what Jalen Brunson and Trae Young do as literally some of the best offensive engines with both scoring and assisting guys in the league, while literally being my height or shorter, is so impressive to me. She's crying again, so I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Now, back to Jalen Brunson. Here's the last two things I'll say about Jalen Brunson. In spite of the foul baiting that he does, like jumping into defenders and stuff, especially while driving, he is easily one of my favorite watches in the NBA. I mean, when this man takes over a game, especially in the clutch, it feels like he's going to score no matter what shot he takes and no matter who's guarding him. And then if he misses, it feels like it doesn't matter because he's getting to the line anyway. It's like, I do not like foul baiting in the NBA and stuff like that, or foul baiting, whatever you want to call it. I don't like it, but you have to respect when a guy, especially a guy at his height, is able to be so dominant of a scorer that guys have to jump. They have to respect his pump fake. They have to respect his closeout enough to where they are going to foul him. Because if you're not a guy that they respect enough to score, they're never going to foul you, because they're never going to be moved by any of your moves. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Jalen Brunson, phenomenal. Like I said, I don't think there's an argument for him above this next guy, but that is not me being a Jalen Brunson hater by any means or in any way, shape, or form or anything like that. Now, number 3, a guy that I think top 4 for this list is like solidified right now. Stephen Curry, number 3. Like I said, some people are going to be mad he's over Brunson, but I think a lot of that is just because of A, how bad Steph's team is and people not appreciating that, and B, how similar to Trae Young, but just to the 100 times more, is how used to his greatness people are. I mean, this man's been doing this for 15 years now. He's 36 years old. Every single year, he's the best shooter in the NBA. He's a top 3-point guard in the NBA. He's in MVP conversations. Always has a chance to win a championship. We know what Steph Curry is. Last year, he averaged 24, 6, and 4. Why? Like, why? Why did she do this to me? All right. Anyways, Steph last season averaged 24, 6, and 4 on 45, 40, 93 splits. And if you were watching last season, you know that he was literally the only Warrior that defenders were guarding for the entirety of the season before the Jimmy Butler trade. And then after that trade, he was still getting at least double teamed. Led the league in 3-point attempts and makes per game once again. Led the league in free throw percentage yet again. Finished 9th in MVP, 5th in clutch player of the year, was an all-star, was all-NBA second team. You know what Steph Curry is, but here's the most crazy thing that I think I saw about Steph Curry while I was doing the research for this video and trying to make sure that my rankings were going to be accurate. When Steph Curry is on the court, the Warriors score 13 more points per 100 possessions than when he's off the court. That is in the 99th percentile in the NBA. There is only one player that is more valuable by the numbers to his team's offensive success than Stephen Curry. That guy is Nikola Jokic, who has been arguably the best player on the planet for the last 5 years. And you want to tell me Jalen Brunson should be above him. You see what I'm saying? That's just kind of where you lose me. You know what I'm saying? In the playoffs, Steph Curry led the Warriors to an upset win over the number 2 seed Houston Rockets, who had the 4th best defensive rating in the league and maybe had the best perimeter defenders in all of the NBA aside from OKC, and you could argue with them in the Knicks. He averaged 23, 5, and 5 in his 6.5 playoff games, and when this man was healthy, the Warriors won their one and only game against the Wolves in the playoffs, and he was looking absolutely unguardable in that game 1 of that series before he got hurt. There isn't a player in the NBA by the numbers that gets as much defensive attention as Stephen Curry. Let me try to put this stat to you in the best way that I can. Let me try to explain it to you in the best way that I can. There's this stat, and I forget what it's actually called, but what it measures is how good of a defender the guy that's guarding you is. So it's like if your number, it'll give you a number, and if your number's on one end of the spectrum, that means you're getting guarded. If like Steph Curry was in the 100th percentile for this stat, that means every single trip down the court, Stephen Curry is more likely to see the best defender or the best combination of defenders on the opposing team over anyone else in the league. Nobody else sees a better defender on the average possession than Steph Curry. On each single time up and down the court, the other team makes sure that their best defender is guarding Steph Curry. That doesn't happen more often for any other player in the NBA. It doesn't matter if you're Shea, Jokic, whoever, Giannis, LeBron, Luka, it doesn't matter. It's Steph Curry. And don't forget, this man is 36 years old and did this while playing 70 games on a team that without him goes down from a 7 seed with 48 wins to the worst team of all time with 12 wins max. Number 2 and number 1, y'all are going to know who these are. Number 2 is Luka Doncic. Not much needs to be said here. I think not much needs to be said here. I think pretty much everyone agrees that he's a better overall player than Steph right now. And I think after last year, we all know that number 1 is better than him, and there's no debate. Luka didn't have his best year last year, but we all know part of really what contributed to that. And even with him not having his best year from what we all think of, he still averaged 28, 8, and 8. He was in the 98th percentile for his offensive impact in the on-off numbers. That's 1 percentile below what Steph Curry was with that plus 13 on-off points per possession. Luka looked terrible defensively last year. He looked slower. He looked less athletic. He looked more overweight. He looked worse defensively. All that stuff is true, especially in the playoffs. But he still was the second best point guard in the league and still put up 28, 8, and 8. And I think this year he's going to remind the league just who he is. And y'all will see in a few videos just how high I am on Luka entering this year. But let me tell you, my prediction is that by the time we do this ranking again next year, that number 1 and 2 might be a little different. Let's just put it like that. And then number 1, Shea. I don't have to say too much. He averaged 32, 5, and 6 with almost 3 stocks per game. He was the best player on the team that was one of the best teams offensively and the best team in the league defensively. They won 68 games. He was the best player on that team. He won the MVP and Finals MVP. His third best player was out for them for almost all of the regular season. Don't forget that as well. He just had one of the greatest individual seasons of all time. It was obviously Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. That's my list, man. Let me know what y'all thought about the list. Let me know if y'all have some names on yours that I didn't have on mine. Let me know if y'all think I should have made. Maybe let me know if y'all want the honorable mention category to go up to 5 as well. Like if y'all want me to do 5 honorable mentions and then 5 guys who actually made my list, let me know about that. And then, hit me up with y'all list and everything like that. Please give me some content ideas and everything like that as we get back into the season. And please don't forget to keep God first as always, because that's always the most important thing. All right, peace out. I love y'all. Bye.